rustic and soul-soothing ricotta lasagna, along with balsamic glaze carrots and a quick bruschetta. Hi friends, welcome to Cooking Live with Lala. I'm Lala. I'm a home cook, professional baker, and plant-based eater. Whether you are also plant-based or just trying to get more plants into your diet, this show is for you. Let's start cooking. We're going to start today with our carrots. All right. I have 2 pounds of carrots here. I have washed and I have cut. This is how I like to cut them. Whew, that is some bright cameras, huh? Hard to see. But anyways, so I've got my carrots all cut up. They're washed. I scrubbed them. To that, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of, I'm going to use regular olive oil today. And here I have rosemary, thyme, basil, and salt. So I'm just going to mix this in. This is like the easiest way to mix it. Why am I going to use a spoon? All right. I don't know if you guys can see this well, but they're pretty covered. Ooh, look at that guy. He's got a lot of seasoning on him. Try to mix that up a little bit. All right, anyways, I'm going to throw them on my baking sheet. So I am using a silicone baking mat today. I recommend either that you use this or parchment paper. This is going to be messy in the end, and it's going to be hard to clean if you don't cover your pan. All right. I have my oven preheated to 425. I'm just going to try to get these like in a single row so that they cook evenly. All right, and then it's going in the oven. We're going to do our lasagna now. So this lasagna basically has a few components. It has a sauce, it has noodles, it has some vegetables, and it has a ricotta. So we're going to get that ricotta done real quick. All right, this ricotta is made from tofu. I'm just using a firm. I did not test this with like a silken. I don't know if a silken would work very well, but a firm does work very well. So I'm just going to drain it real quick. I'm going to break it up in a few pieces and throw it in here. All right. All right. So this ricotta, we are going to add to it. And here I have some olive oil, apple cider vinegar, and white miso paste. The miso paste is going to give it that like kind of umami flavor and some saltiness that cheese has. You just don't want to miss out on that. All right. And then I have in here some nutritional yeast, basil, oregano, thyme, and just a small amount of nutmeg. Trust me on this. The tiniest amount of nutmeg, you'll never taste it, but it really adds something big to the dish. And some salt, if I didn't say that already. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the miso paste that I used also. Miso paste never goes bad, ever, ever, ever. Okay, I've had this one for about a year. This is just a white miso. And I put a tablespoon in here. It really does make a big difference for kind of like a cheesy flavor. And then we are going to throw some garlic in this ricotta. I'm just going to give this a quick smash and throw it in. I love having bowl hair. That's super helpful. All right, that's just getting thrown in. It's going to blend up. So everything's in here. When I've tested this recipe, I've had to use between 1/4 cup and 1/2 cup of water to get the right texture. I wouldn't throw all the water in at once. I would just pour some in, see what it's like, add more if you need it. I'm going to go blend over there and I will be right back. All right, I think this might be good. I used everything about except for maybe a tablespoon and a half of water, but let's check this guy out. I think it looks like it's probably the right texture. Just giving this a little bit of a mix while it's in the blender. Yeah, I think this texture is really, really good. We're going to assemble a lasagna, people. All right, we're going to assemble a lasagna. I got my old school Pyrex here. I think I might buy like a good lasagna dish. So this is my sauce. I did make this from scratch. I am not sharing how I made the sauce today just because honestly, there's so much going on. I don't really need to do like an additional step today for this recipe, or you could buy one, do whatever you want. I've also, in my pasta sauce, I cooked a cup of lentils from dried, and that's my protein for this dish. If you're trying to do plant-based for this, you could do lentils, you could do a TVP. I think a white bean would work really well. If you like Impossible or Beyond Meat, you could do the ground for this. It's just really up to you. You could also just leave it out and do like a cheese and sauce lasagna, and that would also be super delicious. All right, let's see. So I'm gonna just put a cup of sauce at the bottom. This is so that the lasagna does not stick. Don't worry if everything's not super even when you do your lasagna. It'll spread out as it cooks. All right. For my noodles, I am using Barilla gluten-free. These are vegan noodles, and they have no gluten, which is really great for me. If you're not gluten-free, you do not need to use this noodle. But I will tell you one thing. We are not pre-cooking this noodle. We are cooking this lasagna with uncooked noodles. They will cook in the oven. And God, I'm sure probably everybody here has cooked lasagna noodles to put in a lasagna before. That's a pain, man. This is much easier. And it doesn't really cook any longer. All right. These noodles will spread as they cook. So you want to have some room in between them. So we're going to layer pasta sauce, and then ricotta, and then I'm going to do a vegetable. Vegetables can totally be left out. You can use whatever vegetables that you like. All right, where's my veggies? So for my first layer, I am just using these greens. They were super cheap. These are mustard greens, actually. Mustard greens are super flavorful. If you've never had them before, I suggest go lightly on this. Oh, I forgot my ricotta. So anyways, I'm going to put about 3/4 a cup of ricotta on this first layer. I don't like spread it out. You can spread yours out if you want to, but this will spread out while it cooks. And then my greens, these will cook really well, but these kind of greens are actually like pretty good raw as well. All right, back to some noodles. More ricotta. Like I said, all of this cheese will spread out when it cooks. All right. And the next layer of vegetables I'm going to do are portobello mushrooms. I just have this big one. Oh my God, you guys can't even see what I'm doing. I didn't realize my camera was up. Anyways, I've just had, a big portobello, so I just cut it up. And I'm going to throw this in here. And I also have some just smaller portobellos that I cut as well in case this wasn't enough. I'm just going to add some of those guys in there. You guys just can add whatever you want. I would just say if you're adding vegetables, be really careful. If it's a very watery vegetable, it could really affect the cook time of your noodles because we're doing a dry noodle in here and not pre-cooking it. You just have to be careful if you're playing around with the amounts of sauce or cheese or whatever. If you take it away, your noodles may not cook as well. All right, back to the next layer. It's okay, like I said, if you don't make things super even, they'll even out in the oven when it starts cooking. I like to save a little ricotta for the top. All right. That's pretty good. My last layer, I'm actually going to throw on some spinach. I like to keep my spinach in the freezer. I just buy a bag, throw it in. Unless you need it for a fresh dish, like a fresh salad, this actually works super well. They don't go bad. You could just crinkle them up and use them as you need. Whew, drop some on the floor. Just gives it a little pop of color and some extra nutrients. All right, time for that last layer. Let's see. Awesome. One more scoop of pasta sauce. I think I used just over 4 cups of sauce for this recipe. All right. And I'm just going to top it with the remaining ricotta. And I put this in, let's see. So I put this in a 375-degree oven. And when I did noodles on their own with no vegetables, it cooked in 40 minutes. But when I did a bunch of vegetables, it cooked in 55 minutes. And I think that if you do regular wheat noodles, they might take a little bit longer to cook. What you're going to want to do is take a fork and just plunge it into the center when you test it. Just so to check your lasagna, plunge your fork into the center of the lasagna when you take it out. If it goes in easily, then your lasagna's done, and that's it. So this gets covered with tin foil and goes in the oven. We're going to do a bruschetta now. All right. So just to save some time, I cleaned my tomatoes and I cut them in just small pieces. That piece is kind of big. I did try to make things kind of even. And then I salted this because I want to draw out the water. I'm going to go drain the extra liquids just because I don't want my bruschetta extra liquidy. That wasn't too bad, but it was probably a tablespoon of liquid. So I'm not using a recipe for this, guys. I'm just going to wing a bruschetta. You can wing a bruschetta. It's very easy to make. All right, so for this bruschetta, I'm just going to add some olive oil. I have this like Trader Joe one that I was trying out. So I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. This is actually 4 tomatoes. I'm going to add a little bit of balsamic. This is actually not the balsamic I usually get, but I ran out and I wasn't able to go get it. So this is just like a store brand. I'm not like a balsamic, like bougie person. Maybe I should be. If you guys use a really great balsamic, let us know in the comments. I would love to try something else. So anyways, I'm just doing a little bit of balsamic. I don't want it to be too acidic. All right, I've got some basil that I took off of our friend Larry. He didn't mind. I'm going to do a quick chiffonade of that. Can you make a smaller quantity of the bruschetta? Yeah, I mean, you could probably do 1 tomato, I guess. Just a little single-sized portion. You know, I always recommend people just get in the kitchen and try things. It's a great way of learning. So this is just like about a tablespoon of basil. It's not a lot. And I'm going to add some garlic. Where's my good knife? All right. I'm just going to do a quick chop of this, mince really, of this garlic. I feel like every time I do this show, I'm not honest about how much garlic I use. I'm like, yeah, just throw 2 cloves in, and then secretly, you know, when nobody's watching, I've got like 6 cloves of garlic in there. Garlic's an antioxidant. It's actually really good for you. All right. I'm just going to throw a pinch of salt in here. I've got some kosher salt that I'm using today. I did salt this previously, so I don't want to add much more. That's a terrible sound, isn't it? Let's see if that tastes good. It is good. Wow, it's really good. If you make bruschetta, you know, if you can just let it sit for half an hour before you serve it, that'll make the flavors taste better. This isn't going to last well the next day. This is like one of those dishes that you make and it's delicious and you eat it right away. I'm going to make the balsamic glaze real quick to throw on here. This is just balsamic vinegar, and I'm just adding a little bit of maple. I like to balance out my acids with a little bit of sweet sometimes, most of the time. So I'm just going to pour this on. And I just want to give this a good mix. So this is going to cook for an additional 5 minutes. Because all ovens vary, if you do this recipe, you should be very careful at this stage because they can burn pretty easily. In my oven, 5 minutes cooks them and 6 minutes burns them. So just keep a good eye on it. Back in they go. All right, let's see how this guy is looking. So this guy cooked for 55 minutes. I added some cheese to the top and cooked it about 10 more minutes. And then I put a little basil on there. And as you can see, my fork goes in really easily. I think we should just start plating while we wait for the carrots to finish. Look at that guy. This is made with buckwheat flour and a bunch of other stuff. But it actually has a really nice crust, which is why I make it. So I went ahead and I just rubbed a garlic on them and put some olive oil on it and then toasted them in the oven. So I'm just going to add a little bit of bruschetta to these pieces. I really should have cut them a little bit thinner. They're kind of thick. I think, you know, thinner toast points are nice for bruschetta. All right. These are the other bread loaves I made earlier. I know they're super brown, right? But this is not my recipe. It's somebody else's recipe that I adapted. But they actually use a lot of buckwheat flour, which I find to be better. So for mine, I sub out with some gluten-free flour. I just want to show you guys these carrots real quick. You know, a lot of times on camera, you guys, it's hard to see things. The light really changes the way things look, but trust me when I tell you these are amazing. I'm going to go ahead and plate some real quick. All right, that looks super good. I'm excited. All right, I have some vegan parm that I'm gonna add. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to post the recipe for it. But I'm just gonna add a little on top. Why not? Let's add it to everything. Let's see if I can not cut him off today like I always do. Hi, honey.
She was a little short to me.
What? I'm not short. I mean, I am short. I'm shorter than everybody. Okay. So that's what our meal looks like. All I can say is I'm happy that I added those carrots to add like a little bit of extra health factor, right?
Beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful.
What do you want to try first?
The lasagna, of course. That's
Of
what I'm
course.
here for. That's why I showed up today.
Really?
That's the only reason.
Well, it's hot. So good. Oh my God. How's the lasagna?
Real good. Thank you.
I'm going to try the bruschetta in a little bit. Well, I should try it now.
Okay, now I'll eat it all.
I highly recommend the mushrooms in the lasagna because they really add like that meaty bite. The lasagna is super good. All right. You may take your plate, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You always get to eat before me.
Bye.
It's super not okay. Wow. That's really good. Wow. I only added 2 garlics, but it's very garlicky. That's delicious. You see my little guy? My little guy right there? But if you liked lasagna, I suggest you watch my first video, which is comfort foods. I've got some jalapeno cornbread. I teach you how to cook corn on the cob properly. I've got some barbecue tempeh. I've got some mashed potatoes, and then I make a strawberry parfait. It's a great video. I'm going to link it in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are amazing. Bye.